The theme of this module, towards the end of our course time together in moral aspects of medicine, concerns the formation of public policy, how it is that in the United States, at least right now, we, a nation of people with a tremendous variety in moral viewpoints and moral concerns, how it is that the people who are responsible for protecting the common good, the people that legislate laws for us, the people that judge laws for us on the bench, how it is that we're able to come up with some rules and principles and norms and very specific practical ways of doing things in healthcare that fulfill the needs of all the people who live in the United States. This, in fact, is a great challenge at times, and the three readings that we're going to be doing for this module will get in to that issue a little bit, how much of a challenge it can be to do things practically and also to do things in an overriding sense in terms of making laws that will be fair to everybody, that will take care of everybody's concerns, but at the same time will also kind of be robust enough and ethically sound enough to actually do a good job. Now, there's a definition of public policy that I think is very useful for us to have, and not just in terms of healthcare ethics, but in terms of any kind of discussion in the United States. And I want to be very specific about this, so I'm actually going to read it off my notes right here. The definition of public policy that I think would be good for us to use is this: that public policy is a purposive and consistent course of action produced as a response to a perceived problem of a constituency, formulated by a specific political process, and adopted, implemented, and enforced by a public agency. I'm going to read that again, and you should write. The theme for this module of moral aspects of medicine is the formation of public policy. This is the way that we as Americans, at least in our nation, are able to come up with laws and rules and practical procedures in healthcare that both fulfill the needs of the vast majority of people who live in this country, and yet at the same time are ethically sound enough and ethically robust enough to actually stand for some sorts of principles and values. Public policy is the way by which lots of negotiations happen among people with very different viewpoints, very different values, very different ways of starting to make decisions about healthcare, and yet to do it in such a way that the decisions that are made and the rules that have to be followed are fair to the vast majority of people. So there's a definition of public policy that for me applies not just in terms of healthcare, but in any kind of public policy, which I think is useful. And I'll share it with you here. I'm going to read it right off of my notes because it's very specific. Write this down. I'll go through it a couple times and explain it, but I think it's good for us to have in mind as we continue our discussions and do our readings for this particular module. So, the definition of public policy that I like to use is this: public policy is a purposive, P-U-R-P-O-S-I-V-E, a purposive and consistent course of action produced as a response to a perceived problem of a constituency, formulated by a specific political process, and adopted, implemented, and enforced by a public agency. I'll read that off again. Public policy is a purposive and consistent course of action produced as a response to a perceived problem of a constituency, formulated by a specific political process, and adopted, implemented, and enforced by a public agency. So let's break that apart a little bit. Public policy is purposive. That means that there is an end or a goal in mind, that public policy as a set of rules or procedures has a point to it, that it is intended to accomplish something. It isn't just abstract, it isn't just vague, it isn't just theoretical. It is actually formulated for a purpose. That's what purposive means. It's produced as a response to a perceived problem of a constituency. So what's a constituency? A constituency is basically a group of people who are part of a similar kind of set of needs. We often refer to members of Congress having a constituency, that is, the people that they are sent Washington to represent the people that vote them in, or simply the people that live in their district, the people whose interests they are there to vouch for and to put forward. A constituency is a specific group of citizens or a specific group of people who have a common set of interests. They may come from very different backgrounds again. They may have different religious traditions or different philosophical or ethical viewpoints, but they do have a common set of interests. One can even perceive of all the people who live in New York City as a specific constituency. Again, with very different interests and backgrounds, very different kinds of values perhaps, but because all these people live in the same city, you can kind of presume a certain set of common kinds of things going on. And that further in the definition, that the point of public policy is that it is a result of a process that may mean lots of consultation with people in that constituency, a process that may include a lot of argument and debate, but that as a result of a process, it is adopted, that is taken on, and it's implemented, that is put into action, and that it is ultimately enforced by some kind of public agency. Now, a public agency may be very different kinds of things. A public agency may be a law enforcement agency, like a police force. A public agency may be something like the Department of Education or the Department of Health and Human Welfare on the national level. Public agencies can be local, they can be state, they can be national, but they are there and they are given the task of making sure that whatever policy, that is, whatever rules and procedures are adopted, are actually lived through and that they are done correctly and according to the proper procedures. Now, that's a very broad and kind of complicated definition of public policy, but I think it'll bear some discussion for us as we do the 3 readings that I'm having us do for this module, and as we discuss on Blackboard kind of what it is that helps us as those who live in the U.S. to come up with fair policy. Now, we're doing this, of course, towards the end of this semester of Moral Aspects of Medicine, in which we've considered more specifically kind of religious-based values or principles when we talk about healthcare. But because we do live within a greater sense of common good in our national policy, and because bioethics in and of itself is intended not just to be concerned with individual decisions of healthcare, but also how healthcare resources and how healthcare decisions are made across the board amongst a whole large group of people, it's good for us to be able to pull out a little bit and to consider these bigger issues. So let's kind of have that in mind as we continue to read and discuss for the rest of this module. Thanks.